Craig, really appreciate you giving us some time here at Scheels.
For sure.
I think a lot of times, especially when you look at companies like ours that are in the same space, a lot of times there's probably that feeling of like some competition, just because there's even some.
Sure.
That's what we all do. That's what if the people are shooting competition. So it's mine's better than yours because, and yours is better than mine because, and
the whole point is people who have leadership or forward-facing roles in organizations. You were probably a competitive person growing up.
Yeah.
You probably played ball, and whether it's playing sports or whatever, or with a sibling or a neighbor, it was always competitive, right? When we live in this world that we think everything is very zero-sum, that if I don't beat you, then I lose. And this is we're at Scheels Hunting You. This is my 5th one here, and I've tremendously enjoyed the partnership and the opportunity with Scheels. The more you really get into the world as a manufacturer, the more you understand that it's not that way at all.
No.
And at Area 419, we want Forster to be successful.
Right.
We want reloading to grow. There's a lot of reloading conversation here, and in 2025, reloading, per their data, is not doing exceptionally well.
Right.
And some of that, there's some upsides to that, and that means ammo manufacturers are doing better, which is good. From the firearm market in general, that's great. But we want reloading to grow, period. I hope that the people making powders and primers and projectiles, I hope they continue to do well, and that their stability and their supply and their pricing, and I hope you do well, because the pie's really big.
Yeah, and same. And and I think for years and years and years, it was like there's Rock Chuckers, there's Lee Classics, and then Forster was here and Redding's here. It was all kind of a lot of the same for a long time, and it was, it's better for the industry to have that competition, to have a 419 come in and say, make it like, hey, you're gonna have to Forster, you better keep your tolerances up, or this will do it.
And that's the good side of the competition.
Exactly.
Is I don't want to compete with Forster because I need to beat Scott.
Yeah, right.
I want to compete with Forster, and I want Forster to compete with us so that we remain better.
Right.
And because the products are meaningfully different, there are ways that you're going to beat us in competition. There are ways that we're going to beat you. And it's good because it makes you better, it makes us better, and overall it creates more rich options for consumers, and retailers love it too. They want options.
No, I know when Scheels added the 419 press and added the Forster press, we actually, we sold more presses through Scheels when 419 was added. And I think it's just because now people were looking, it got more eyes on that precision market, and it's forcing, other companies to look at that market too, as other things slow down. It used to be that reloading was a way to make ammo cheaper.
Right.
That's not really true.
Make it cheaper, or make some odd wildcat product that they couldn't make otherwise. And that's, your old varminers, your old BR guys. And now it's how do we tune this for precision? How do we get exactly what we want? And, I can't buy a piece of X cartridge that has this specific projectile that's running at this speed with this brass. I want to make it distinctly mine. And I think reloading as an industry, when did Bonanza, late 60s?
Yeah,
is when the coax happened?
Yep, in the 60s when they made it with the rifle team. They kind of worked with the Marine Corps and stuff to help make that. And
while the product's not totally unchanged, it's fundamentally the same product that it was then. And the Rock Chucker is even older. And the standard O-style press has been around a long time. Now, Dylan with the progressives, that was obviously that's a big deal. And they may not have been the first progressive. Somebody on the internet will get angry at me for that. But progressives pushed the market, and now we've got a precision press in the market, and there are other like newer precision presses in the market as well. And it's taken a segment in reloading that there was some tiredness to it, there was some age to it, and can that be reinvigorated? And you've got really cool new Hornady's A-tip line, for example. I still don't think they're loading that in any ammo. So they came out with an entirely new product that is, the way they're producing it is complex. The company's big as Hornady, they didn't need to do that.
No, right.
But the excitement around let's make great ammo and let's reload great ammo, it's renewed. And it's not just a 419 thing. It's certainly not the case. But what's happened in precision shooting in the last decade has been awesome. And being part of that's really cool.
They open the door to, that people will pay for precision and that it will be worth it in the end. I can get those A tips, and that's going to get me this little bit more, and that can be a big difference.
And any way we can get people excited about reloading. The percentage of shooters that reload is comically small.
Yeah.
And that means that the ability that reloading has to grow is enormous. So, doing this podcast or, working with you guys, I was honestly really appreciative when you guys were working on the XL. And you reached out, and we just released our M series die, and it's a Chungus, it's a big girl.
Yeah.
And you said, hey, I want to make sure this works.
Yeah.
And that was awesome because that really lets me know you can show up to events and be nice to people, whatever. Yeah. But something like that's really letting us know that we want this to work for everybody, and that's sweet.
We're talking here about a lot of things that have changed, and in the same breath, so much has not. I mean, it's like the way you're going to set your die up in your 419 press versus your rock chucker, that overall, not saying there aren't some fundamental, but the fundamentals are the same. So if you've been loading on that rock chucker for 30 years and you're intimidated by looking at this has all this new flashy, you're going to be able to do it. It's not anything different than what you're doing before.
That's what we just got done with, the class. It was a little 20-minute rotation, so we just walked people through. And I was with one of the members of the Scheels org, Corey Rigby, who's don't tell him, he's a heck of a good guy. But we were walking through, and yes, we were using our S-Series die, and yes, we were using a Zero. But we talked through whether you're using a Forster product or Hornady or RCBS or Frankfurt Arsenal or Lyman or whoever, it doesn't matter. It's basically the same. And equipping the people here, and again, kudos to the Scheels organization. The investment they make into these summer universities is massive. They got people here from all over the country.
Right. We're training, 70 people that are going to be versed in your product, our product. It's like another arm of both of our companies to be able to do that.
Yeah, and they, as we were walking through these groups of 15 or whatever they are, at the beginning, you might have 1 or 2 reloaders in each group. Yeah. And the rest of them, when you say, how do you set up a sizing die? They're like, please don't call on me. Yeah. And by the end of it, in just that little 20 minutes, they got a shot. They got a chance. And there's always, especially when you're inside the industry, you look at your common gun counter person is the lowest common denominator, which is the case in all retail, not just firearm. And for us to depend our brands in a retail space for that person on the counter to sell the product, a lot of times that can be a little scary. You never know what that person's like. But what Scheels does so well is they bring them in. So that entry-level person at the point of sale having a fighting chance to explain something complex like reloading and get a person that's interested into it, that's huge for all of us.
And you, the customer,
Absolutely.
You can actually go in and put your hands on it. And, sure, you could call and talk to Craig or call and talk to Scott, and we can walk you through it to a point. But
that first step, man, and it's so good with Scheels that these are, I've been here years that you ask the people in training, how long have you been with the Scheels organization? Some of them are like 36 years. Yeah. And other ones are like, actually started today. This is my first day. So you get a really huge range here, and they don't have any new stores full of associates that are here this year. And sometimes that is the case, but these are people that, if Scheels doesn't step up and train them, it's a really mixed bag in what you get. So,
and they've got that mixed bag. So if you are the new reloader that wants to get something experienced, then there's someone that is going to be able to meet you right where you are at that store to do that.
Everybody wins because of what they're doing here and what we're able to do organizationally, all working together to make it happen.
Right. And so appreciate a lot of your adding to the line. I say that helps push us a lot. And
sure. And you guys, over the last year, you talked to me at this a year ago, and we talked about marketing, and we talked about how we show off goods and how video works. And now you're here with the whole podcast crew. You guys have been doing a really good job of it. It has to have affected your business in a positive way and helped customers in a positive way.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we were one of those old companies, still are one of those old companies. So it's, a person can get really down in your rut doing things the same way. And, for years it was like, and that helped open the door for other things, but Forster was unable to keep up with the demand. You couldn't find them out there. Well, we invested in a lot of machines and processes, and now we're putting out a lot
and
more than
kudos
we
for
used
you
to
to
be.
doing it. A lot of brands won't.
Right.
They'll have a 6-month backlog, and they're comfortable that way because backlogs, they make you feel good. In reality, I consist backlogs to me that's income that you just haven't been able to book, and honestly, you may never. There are companies what's going on right now in DC with tax stamps on suppressors going to zero on January 1. I talked to somebody very, very recently with good knowledge of a large suppressor company that said they know of a suppressor company that lost millions of dollars in orders because they were back orders.
Right.
They weren't able to get them across the line and sell them. And now everybody's like, nope, don't want that. We're going to wait. So just being able to get products to your customers, it's what your customers want. They want the goods.
Right.
And they want to be able to go find them, and they want it to be easy.
Right.
And as a manufacturer, if you're not doing that, you may feel like you're protecting yourself, but really you're killing yourself.
Availability is an ability. Like that's a big ability. So it's like you have to be able to keep it out there. And you've got 900 or whatever on back order. You don't actually have 900 on back order. And to be able to math that to what you really have and what you really need, that's impossible.
Right.
It is like it's more of a scary thing to hold inventory and to try to push and sell.
Investment's hard and it's scary.
But then that's better for the customer,
right?
Because you're gonna get out there and push it and make it more available and easier for them to get if that's where you're at. So
and it's very visible in some of the really good things you guys have done in the recent year or two, especially. We are in what a lot of people consider a hobby space. There's certainly people that use firearms as tools. There are people whose lives depend on them. And that's the case. But a significant majority of all of our sales go to consumers that are using this as a hobbyist or enthusiast good. So people tend to look at their businesses as a hobby or as an enthusiast venture.
Right.
And that's a disservice to their businesses and their staffs and their teams as well as the customers. And it doesn't mean that you need to become some harsh, corporate, nasty thing.
Right.
Your business still needs to have a soul, and
Right.
yours obviously does. But being able to take seriously what it means to put product on the shelf, whether it's reloading presses or it's tennis shoes or it's truck parts, whatever you're making, you need to take being a business and a manufacturer seriously. And, that means being good people inside the industry. And we really do appreciate that. And we're new, and you guys have been around a long time, and the welcoming is we're basically a decade into this, and you're closer to a century into this than a decade.
Yeah.
That means a lot to us.
It's really amazing how, you talk about the reloading side, and I mean, then there's a whole, these rifles are being built and this ammo coming out of this die has to go in that rifle. It's honestly amazing it works as well as it does, as often as it does. And especially then now you're adding 10 other all these thousands of reloaders, variables, and how they do this process and stuff. I mean, it's a fun industry to be in, and it's a lot of, we put a lot of faith in our customers being able to use the tools right and correctly and rely on Federal made the primer right, and Hornady did the bullet right.
There's a ton of trust involved, and Hornady, to their credit, and we all benefit from it when they roll out new cartridges. And whether you are all in on the Hornady's new cartridges, or you're the person that says, "Well, that's just the same as the old cartridge," I don't care. They do a really good job of standardizing, of working with manufacturers, and as we've made dies for Hornady cartridges, I can email Hornady and say, "Hey, I need the correct die print." Knowing how you guys are sizing brand new brass, and then we might make a little modifications or whatever, but they're open with it because they want all of the parts in the ecosystem to work. And I want to know if we're selling a die to somebody that's using a coax, or if somebody's using a Forster die on a zero. I know that we can trust you guys, and if something's not right, we can call you and say, "Hey, what did we mess up? Did you mess up? What's going on here?" And you're ready to work with that, and it's not a stupid 419 guys. They can't figure it. No, it doesn't work that way because we are all collectively in service of those who buy our products.
Yeah, if our die doesn't work with a Hornady bullet, that's not only bad for us, it's bad for, they're calling Hornady and they're blaming the bullet and they're blaming the brass and it's like, we just all have to have the solution to be able to do this to the best of all of our abilities and like you said, you've got your formula for how you're going to size a case and what's important. And
but all of our formulas are really, really close to one another. And that's a good thing because they're all derived of basically the same things. And it's also a credit to what you guys have done at Forster that, you're an old dog that continues to learn new tricks. And, it's not a pejorative saying, but Forster's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
And you guys have made changes internally and structurally, and you continue to push and grow. And I think there was probably a time that the reloading market had become pretty stagnant. That stomps foot. We've done it this way forever. We're going to keep doing it this way. And no one wins that.
No. And I think kind of like when we're at the Scheels thing and when Brandon was giving a presentation about the Scheels market and saying like, during COVID, they're selling everything that they have and that was wonderful, but then it made salespeople complacent. And the same thing happened in the reloading industry. It's like we're selling all we can anyway, so let's just keep making what we have. And
sorry, customer. The Henry Ford line of the Model T, you can have any color you want as long as it's black. Was very much a mantra inside. And you guys have always done, and I've looked at from a manufacturing standpoint, like the way they do custom home necks. We don't do any of that.
Right.
But you guys do, and good for you. And that undertaking of we'll continue to bend for customers in that way. That's a big deal. And that's good for some people, less good for others, but we keep doing it. There's more, and every company has a different mindset over we should do this or we shouldn't.
Right.
But it's good that everybody's at least thinking about these things and having these conversations.
Yeah, and that's all for the customer.
Absolutely.
You have that, it's good for us, it's good for you.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Everyone wins.
Yeah.
What's coming for you guys? What's new? Where does Forster go?
Yeah. We're looking at a lot of things. I think we're going to have a pretty exciting, 2025 SHOT Show. We just kind of overhauled our powder measure. We took an old tool and kind of made that a lot better. But hopefully we've got not a lot of new tools coming in, but definitely being more reactive to those newer cartridges coming out, the 7mm backcountry and some of those cases that people are worried about. Is it going to be able to form that well, out of that different alloy of material? Well, we're working on it to be sure that it does. And
I've been really impressed just seeing as you guys talk more about your non-press, non-die products.
Yeah.
So like your gold inlay kit.
Yeah.
I immediately looked at that and thought, next time I mess around with my wedges in my golf bag, I'm going to order some of that, trick it out. Or you've got some cool hand tools in the process that are really good. And I think that's cool expansion too, because you guys, obviously the coax is a flagship product, but there's so much more you can offer, and it's continuing to push your internal team. Hey, we know they own the press, they need to do this. What's something else? Your shooters and reloaders, as are we. You have problems of, I wish I had a tool that could do this.
Yeah.
Hey, can we make this? And you do, and it's not only your problem, and you're engaged in the market. And that's also cool.
How about yourselves? You've got some new stuff coming out, or
so our optics mounts have been a huge deal for us in the last year and a half. This is what is it? It is July 12th or something. 10th. I don't know. We're gonna have some really cool things come out, some announcements, some partnerships over the next week or so that are really slick. Turn the cameras off, I'll tell you. And for us, it's continuing to know we have this consumer. What do they need? How do we make their lives better? How do we push the envelope for them into something that allows them a product, be it reloading or rifle parts or whatever, that gives them an option they didn't previously have. And we're always straightforward with customers of, you don't have to buy this. There's no one that we're calling, except for maybe Stone. I'm kidding. There's no one we're calling and saying, you have to buy this.
Right.
We made it. You have to have it. No, but we think if we make really good products and we make them available and we let somebody know what features and benefits we're bringing with this new thing, then life can be really good.
I think that's something you guys do really well too, of having a really diverse line. Like, we were talking reloading because that's what we share, but like scope mounts and brakes and all that stuff is like, it makes you better at making reloading things, being able to do that. And
we have to become excellent manufacturers and excellent designers and excellent marketers. And whether it's a reloading product or a rifle part or whatever it is, if we're really good at our core competencies, then the products themselves are going to be better and better.
Right.
We also don't make anything we don't have a pretty good idea about. So it's not, We don't like doing also ran products.
Yeah.
Everybody else makes this item. Well, we might as well make it.
Yeah.
Like the scope mounts.
Yeah.
We, for years, thought about, we should make rings, but we didn't have a good idea.
Yeah.
And until we did, and, now, we've got some patent pending things with the way that we're doing the bores on the rings and the way that we're attaching things to them. And some of those, at least one of those patents is actually very close to fruition. We figured something out.
Yeah.
And when you figure something out and you decide you're not going to roll a product in the market until you really figure something out, shockingly, the market likes them more because it is something different.
Yeah. And it's fulfilling for your employees that are doing it and figuring it out. And that excitement for that product, that goes to the customer then too, when they can do it.
And we've got roughly 40 people on our team, and each one of them is just stinking excellent at what they do. And the culture of we're going to do things really, really well, the right way.
Yeah.
Maybe the way that takes a little longer.
Right.
Maybe the way that's a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
When a customer hops on our website or yours as well, and I know that what you guys are doing with tooling and grinding and the way that you're making products is top tier. When you do it that way, because again, we're largely consumer goods. When somebody gets that box from Area 419 or they get that box from Forster and they cut it open, they've been looking forward to that.
Right.
They bought
saved
that
up for
item.
that.
They saved up. They were excited to click the button to buy it. They check their tracking every day. We try to ship super fast because I want them to anticipate it for about a day and a half to 2 days. Little anticipation's good, but they better get their snappy.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Somebody, they're getting their enjoyment out of your product.
Right.
And even if it's not exactly our products, they really like going to the range with themselves or their buddies or their kid, or they like to hunt.
Yeah.
And we know that the products better be really, really good, because if we screw that up, that hurts. That's bad.
Yeah, and then especially if they're buying a press or they're buying a scope mount, that's going to speak to anything else they're going to add to you from there.
We know know that when a person buys the first product, you're going to get to make a first impression, and whether it's in products or whatever, you only get one shot to make a first impression. So everything we make, and of course we're not infallible, and any man-made item can have flaws.
Absolutely.
But we work really hard for that perfection rate to be as high as it can be.
And then if you do have that, it's how you handle it afterwards. And if you can just eat it and say, nope, that wasn't packaged well, or that shouldn't have went to you, and replace it.
Right.
Sometimes those guys are even happier than the ones that opened a new one, just knowing that you didn't just say it was their problem, that you took care of it.
Whether it's business to business working together, or when a customer hits, place order on the website, every single time you're building a partnership.
Right.
And you better hold up your side.
Yeah. Well, really appreciate you taking the time.
Anytime.
And looking forward to seeing you more of these.
One of these times I'll drive through that way and swing through Forster.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man.
Thanks.